Hey, it's Road Dog Does Politics here, back with another video. It is Thursday, the 25th of May. I wanted to use this video and sort of let the dust settle for a couple of days before I did this. Just because I wanted to just lay out my, not argument, but just, reasonings for what I think we should do about terrorism moving forward since this new terrorist attack in Manchester has happened on Monday, killing 22 and injuring 59. Just heinous, terrible, evil attack, which I think has to an extent changed the way that we're now reacting to terrorism all over the world. Many people watching will be upset, angry. They would have probably changed their minds about tackling terrorism and what we do to people who come into the country. Or if you're sort of like a more liberal person, you'd think, well, we don't need to do anything, we just carry on as normal, business as usual, we don't let them win, we're not going to be divided, etc. And it's sort of like you're on two different sides of the fence pretty much. And yeah, so like people are going to respond in different ways, and we need to sort of discuss. I feel like we need to discuss how terrorism has evolved, what we're doing to exacerbate it, because I think that we are a lot. And what can we do about it? Because it just seems like it's just going, it's going on and on and on, and it's just happening, pretty much every other month, it seems. Like I'm getting so fed up of, I'm getting really tired of waking up in the morning, switching the news on and seeing that another massacre has taken place in some, concert hall, a supermarket, a shopping centre, a public space, and hundreds of people killed, in hospital and injured, and death, destruction. I'm getting so, it's almost normal now, and I hate it. I hate looking at the news and seeing all this bloodshed, and I'm not surprised by it now because it's just becoming a normal thing, and I hate that. I hate that. So I don't know what to do. I don't know how we can move forward from this, because I really think our political leaders and politicians need to really start looking at this and looking at themselves, their decision making, what they are doing in terms of foreign policy, in the Middle East, especially in the Middle East, what they're doing there, their international relationships, security in their own countries, because I just don't think, I don't want this to keep going. I don't want this to be a normal thing. And, part of me thinks that you're not going to be able to do anything about this because you simply cannot stop someone, a random person, from going somewhere and blowing someone up, because you can't mind read someone. You can't, unless you have tanks in the street, unless you have 24-hour surveillance, unless you have tags on everyone, unless you have cameras on every street corner, knowing where every person is every single day, 24/7. I don't, unless you live in a police state, you cannot monitor this sort of thing. And at this point, I think I should mention our intelligence services, MI5, MI6, GCHQ. They all do a fantastic job in, protecting us and rooting out and foiling terrorist attacks that could have happened, that didn't happen because of them. Credit to them where credit's due, because they work really hard, and I don't think that we know about it enough, that the work that they do, so credit to them. But yeah, unless you live in a police state, I don't think there's a huge amount that we can do, because one of the greatest things about the West and where we live in the UK is that we pride ourselves on our free society, on the fact that, we let people live, in freedom, and, people can say what they want, the free speech, go about and do whatever they want to do in like public spaces, within the law, obviously. But it's just sad because terrorists know this and they take advantage of that fact and they infiltrate into our societies, and just because of our freedom, and you know, they take advantage of that and they use it to just, you know, attack innocent civilians, and they know that. That is why they do it, and they attack it on the basis of you have a free society, and I hate that. I believe that, you know, that is wrong. You shouldn't be living like this because it is against my fundamentalist, warped, sick belief that everyone should believe the same thing that I believe. And yeah, and I keep saying this, unless we live under some surveillance mad police state where you've got cameras and internet surveilling and all those different types of stuff, you're going to be really hard pressed to stop every single person from passing through that net. So that's one thing. Another thing is foreign policy. Now, the first terrorist attack I can remember or like lived through was 9/11. Okay, and at the time I was 11 years old, and I remember asking, like, what does a terrorist attack mean? What does a hijacker mean? What do these terms mean? Like, I don't understand. And from that moment on, I think it just signalled certainly the US and the West as a whole, just to like think that we have the right to go into other people's countries on false pretenses, saying, we need to destabilise your economy, we need to destabilise your corrupt government, your government is corrupt, we need to topple it, we need to take your oil, we're going to take your oil, we're going to invade your country, drop bombs on civilians, you know, bring tanks in, bring guns in, bring armed forces in, just go all over the shop. Like, since, you know, 2001, I cannot remember a time when we weren't in the Middle East creating whatever havoc, destabilising every other country's economy, and causing so much upset in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya, in Iran. And it's just like, I cannot... Are you surprised that there's a migrant crisis? Are you surprised that there's millions of people flooding into Europe? Are you surprised there's thousands of people drowning in the Mediterranean because of our actions? Indirectly or directly, I don't care. But, you know, we have to take some responsibility for this, because, you know, our actions have had an effect on the economies in the Middle East. We're doing arms deals with Saudi Arabia, who are funneling weaponry to terrorists, whether we know it or we don't, because that's happening. It's happening. And we need to do something about it, because we are affecting and involved with corrupt governments. And they are corrupt because that's where the money is. That's where the money is. That's where the millions and billions of dollars are. That, you know, the US are manufacturing weapons and guns, and we're sending them to the Middle East. Here you go, we're going to make some guns for you, we're going to send them over, take as many as you want, I'll sign this deal, here you go, and then we'll let you just bomb Yemen, and we'll let you just bomb civilians, innocent civilians, and we'll turn a blind eye, because it's making me money, it's making me profit. You see what I mean? We need to do something about it, because it's not right. And it's not just foreign policy, it's not just our actions in, you know, the Middle East and corrupt governments there. Our governments, like in the UK, in America, pretty much just as corrupt. You just can't see it as obviously. But, you know, at the moment, Theresa May, the Conservatives, are making humongous cuts to public services. especially in the NHS and the police force, have had thousands cut from their forces. Thousands! Do you know what effect that has on a society where, you know, police officers can't do their job effectively, so they're having to prioritise where they go? You could argue that, that's a result of, like, terrorist attacks happening because we don't have enough security. Yeah, and also the corruption in the US at the moment with Trump. Not a president, to be honest. He's an incompetent man-child who does not know a single thing, easily swayed. All he cares about is money, profit, where's his next paycheck coming from? Is it coming from Russia? Is it coming from Saudi Arabia? Don't care. I don't care about my people. Don't care about the people who are starving. Don't care about the people who are not going to have health insurance. Don't care. I just want my paycheck and my profit. That's what it is. That is the world order. It's rich first. Don't care about the poor. Don't care. Don't give a fuck. I just want my paycheck. And it just gets to the point where it's like, what do you do? Like, what the fuck do you do? Because you cannot go and scapegoat an entire community of people, especially a minority of, like, Muslims and Islamists, and say, you're not doing enough to stop this. You should be dealing with it in your own communities and your mosques, and saying to people who you think are being radicalised that you need to do more about it. And they are. That's the thing. They are. They're doing so much to try and prevent this stuff from happening. It's just, you know, flaws in the system. You could argue that, you know, the police and the security, like, you know, they were, you know, informed on multiple occasions of this guy in Manchester who blew himself up. He was a known, like, suspect to authorities, and yet nothing was done. So you could argue that's a problem. But you can't go to the point where you're scapegoating communities and people, saying it's your fault and we're pointing the finger at you, which is what the media tends to do a lot, because people need someone to blame. And yeah, just things really need to change. Politicians and world leaders need to really rethink what their decisions are in terms of, like, you know, relationships with other countries, especially in the Middle East. And, you know, it's just, we're getting more and more divided, and it's sickening to watch, because I just feel like we're just going down a hole, and it's just getting worse and worse, and there's more and more hate, more and more division, just more and more racism, xenophobia, people turning against one another, communities turning against one another. And that's what they want. That's what terrorism, that's their ultimate goal, is to cause, you know, instability, division, hatred, and they want to split people up into smaller groups so it's just easier to manage. That's what they want, and they're slowly, very slowly achieving it. And you can say that we're not going to let them win. You can say it over and over again, and I feel like we are. I feel like every time this happens, we just repeat the same mantras over and over again, and nothing changes. I mean, you know, you could put the terror threat up to critical all you want. What's that going to do? It's just going to, you know, it's not going to change anything. You'll probably put it back down in a week or so and nothing will change. So I don't know what you can do about it. Someone answer my question. So yeah, apologies if this video has turned into quite a long one. I just wanted to sort of discuss these sort of issues because they're getting really massive, and it just seems like it's so huge that we almost feel powerless to do anything about it. So yeah, I'll probably leave it there. Make sure you leave your comments down below. I know this is quite a controversial, divisive sort of video, but yeah. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos. See you soon, guys.